Dad always told me I was strong enough to handle things on my own, yet he handed my younger sister $625,000, which she promptly lost. Now, they're pleading with me to fix the mess they created. As the older sibling, I often felt overlooked, as my parents placed their trust in my younger sister. Please stick around until the end, I'd love to hear your thoughts. My name is Leo. I'm 30 years old and run my own tech startup. It's not a massive corporation, but it provides me with a comfortable lifestyle and meets my needs. I own 2 homes, one where I live and another that I rent out. While I'm not wealthy enough to splurge, I earn enough to live without constant worry. Then there's my sister, Mia. In our family, she has always been the star. She's bright, articulate, and has a knack for convincing others of her grand visions, but she lacks practicality. Mia is always bouncing from one ambitious idea to another. One day, she's focused on launching a tech company, the next, she's dreaming of opening a gourmet restaurant, and then it's a film production studio. Her dreams sound incredible, but she never follows through. She always finds someone or something to blame for her failures, whether it's a lack of funding or people not believing in her ideas. A year ago, I stumbled upon something that shocked me. My parents had taken out a loan on their house to give Mia a substantial amount of money for yet another business venture. That's when everything began to unravel. My parents are the kind of people who believe family should always support each other, no matter the circumstances. They're not bad people, but they make one significant error: they always believe Mia, no matter what. My father is serious and reserved, the one who makes decisions in our household. He has never truly respected what I'd built. Perhaps it's because I didn't follow the path he envisioned for me. To him, real success is something grand and flashy, not the modest software company I established through my own hard work. My mother is kinder and more empathetic, but she often lets her emotions cloud her judgment. To her, Mia is the one who still needs help. I'm the one who's already doing well and doesn't require assistance. She constantly reassures me, saying, "You're strong. You can handle it." But Mia needs her family's support. We may not have a lot of money, but we've always managed to get by. My father ran a small business while my mother worked as an accountant. Their jobs provided us with a stable life. Additionally, my grandfather left behind a significant inheritance from wise property investments. If managed properly, that money could have given my parents a lifetime of security. As a child, I never thought they had favorites. I believed they loved both Mia and me equally. We even shared birthday parties. If I received a toy, she got one too. We both got new clothes during the holidays. Everything seemed fair and balanced. But when Mia started school, things began to shift. She excelled academically, earning high grades and winning the affection of her teachers and peers. My parents were so proud of her that they eventually forgot I existed. This neglect didn't manifest in toys or meals but rather in the more significant events that shaped our futures. Mia expressed a desire to learn French, and they immediately enrolled her in expensive classes. She wanted to attend a prestigious summer camp, and they said yes without hesitation. When she wanted to learn the piano, they bought one and hired a private instructor. What about me? I never received that level of support. By the time I reached high school, the disparity was glaring. Mia announced she wanted to attend an elite private school, and they paid the full tuition without a second thought. I also expressed interest in a better school, but my mother simply replied, "Public schools are perfectly fine, dear. There's no need to waste money." I wasn't oblivious. I understood exactly what was happening. They believed investing in Mia would yield significant returns in the future. They didn't bother with me because they assumed I was already fine and didn't need help. When I turned 17, I discovered my passion for computers. I wanted to take an online course to learn software development. It wasn't expensive, just a fraction of what my parents had previously spent on Mia's classes. But when I brought it up, my father shook his head and said, "You can learn coding on your own. There's no need to spend money on it." I was accustomed to being self-sufficient, so I kept quiet. I spent the entire summer scouring free resources online, teaching myself every line of code and process. There were no teachers or financial support from home, just me. After experiencing this neglect repeatedly, I finally grasped the painful truth: my parents never truly believed in me. To them, Mia was the one worth investing in. I worked tirelessly, often pushing myself to the brink of exhaustion. But I never gave up. No one believed in me, yet I had faith in myself, and eventually, I found success. By the time I turned 29, my company was thriving. I wasn't just scraping by, I had purchased 2 homes, one for myself and another to rent out. Both were in great neighborhoods, and they gave me a sense of security about the future. I achieved all of this without any support from my parents or anyone else. Everything I owned was earned through my own efforts. Yet, I couldn't shake the thought of how much money my parents had poured into Mia. When Mia was 23, she opened a cafe inspired by the charming ones in Europe. My parents handed her over $120,000 to help her get started. She chose a prime location in the heart of the city, furnished it with elegant tables and chairs, and hired staff as if it were a high-end restaurant. However, after just 8 months, the cafe shut down. Mia had no clue how to manage finances, run a business, and, most importantly, she never took responsibility for her failures. So, what did my parents say after the cafe failed? They claimed the economy was tough and insisted that our sweet girl deserved another chance. Of course, another chance. When she turned 25, she decided to venture into fashion. Another $65,000 vanished into thin air to create a small business selling unique clothing. This time, the store closed after only 6 months. Why? Because she knew nothing about fashion, but that didn't stop her. Mia had always believed she was a hidden genius waiting to be discovered. I thought that would be the last time my parents supported her. But no, they continued to place their faith in her. That's when I finally understood the truth: my parents preferred me because I was safe. They said no to me because they never truly believed I was worthy of their trust. Then, a year ago, I stumbled upon something that shook me to my core. I was in the historic district of town running a quick errand. On my way back, I decided to drop by my parents' house unannounced. As I approached, something caught my eye: a brand new BMW parked in the driveway. I stared at it, puzzled. My parents weren't the type to splurge on expensive items, so where did this car come from? The front door swung open, and my mother stepped out with a beaming smile. "Mia just got a new car. Isn't it amazing?" she exclaimed. I stood there, utterly stunned. A BMW? With what money? Mia had failed repeatedly; she couldn't afford something so extravagant. When I entered the house, I tried to maintain my composure, but then I noticed a stack of bank documents on the table. I picked them up and began to read. My heart sank. It was a mortgage loan for $625,000. I couldn't believe my eyes. The loan covered 80% of their home's value. My parents had put their house on the line. But for what? Why would they borrow so much? I gripped the papers tightly, trying to keep my voice steady. "You used the house to get a loan?" I asked calmly. My father frowned, and my mother wouldn't meet my gaze. "We only took out a small loan to help Mia," she explained, as if it were no big deal. I let out a dry laugh. "A small loan?" I looked at the number again: $625,000. That's 80% of your home's value. How is that small? What about the money Grandpa left? I pressed. My mother paused, exhaling slowly. "That money? It's already gone," she said. "Gone?" I echoed, repeating the word as if it pained me. I glanced back at the BMW outside, and I already knew the answer. "You spent it on Mia's car, didn't you?" They fell silent. My mother bit her lip, and my father shot me a cold look, as if I had said something offensive. He needed that car, my father insisted. In business, how people perceive you matters. Who would take you seriously if you showed up in a regular car? I smiled, not because I found anything funny, but because the situation was so absurd. They had drained their savings, squandered the inheritance, bought her a car, and now they were risking their home for yet another one of Mia's schemes. Do you even realize how dangerous that is? If Mia messes up again, you'll have nowhere to live. Their expressions shifted immediately. My mother glared at me, and my father's voice turned harsh and icy. You envy your sister, don't you? You want her to fail just so you can feel superior. I stood there, stunned. If you fail again, they're going to lose everything. Don't you see that? Instead of listening, Mia chuckled mockingly. You always do this, Leo. You're just jealous. You're scared I'll be more successful than you, and now you're trying to stop me. I fell silent. You really think that? I asked calmly. What else could it be? She scoffed. You already have everything, a business, houses, money, and now that I finally have a shot, you can't stand it. You're just being selfish. I didn't respond for a moment, then shook my head. If that's what you believe, there's nothing more I can say. I hung up the phone, feeling utterly defeated. A week passed without any contact. Then, out of the blue, my parents called and invited me over for dinner. I didn't expect that, especially so soon after our argument. Regardless of what had happened, they were still my family, so I agreed to visit. When I arrived, I noticed Mia was already there. The atmosphere in the room felt different, less tense than before. My parents exchanged glances, and my father spoke first. Leo, we're sorry. We said some things that weren't right last time. My mother nodded, her voice softer than usual. Mia also wants to apologize. I looked at Mia. She gave a slight nod and rubbed the back of her neck. Yeah, I was kind of angry that day. I shouldn't have said what I said. I was taken aback. My parents had never apologized to me before, and Mia had never admitted to being wrong. For a brief moment, I wondered if they had finally come to understand my perspective, but less than a minute later, I realized what this dinner was really about. My father cleared his throat and began to speak slowly. Leo, you have 2 properties, one where you live and another that you rent out. I sensed something was off. Why are you bringing this up? I asked, my tone growing colder. My mother interjected, her voice calm as if she were discussing something entirely normal. Mia is stepping into the real estate world. She needs to appear trustworthy. If you could let her have one of your houses, it would be a big help for her future. I sat there in disbelief. So that was it. The apologies had merely set the stage for this ridiculous request. I responded immediately, looking directly at them. No. My mother blinked, as if she couldn't believe what I had just said. What do you mean, Leo? She asked, her tone still kind but tinged with apprehension. I mean, I'm not giving Mia my property. I'm not foolish. The entire mood shifted instantly. My father dropped his chopsticks with a loud clatter, his expression hardening. Leo, you have 2 places to stay. Mia only needs 1 break. She's your sister. I let out a bitter laugh. So what now? You expect me to give up my home just so she can look successful? How many times have you thrown money at her, even though she's never once achieved anything? My father's tone grew more forceful. She hasn't failed, she just hasn't had the right opportunity yet. And you already have it all. Can't you support her just this once? I laughed again, but this time it sounded hollow. I have everything? You never gave me anything at all. Even when I asked for $65,000 to start my business, you said no right away. And now you think I should give Mia a whole house? I'm not out of my mind. My mother's hand began to tremble. My father slammed his hand against the table, causing the water in the cups to ripple. So, you're just selfish like the rest. You envy your own sister. You're scared she might become more successful than you. Isn't that it? I stood up abruptly, my eyes filled with disappointment. No, I'm just not foolish. Silence enveloped the room. I glanced at Mia, she still hadn't spoken, her gaze fixed on the floor. Deep down, I knew that if I agreed to give her that house, she would take it without a second thought. She wouldn't hesitate to take what wasn't hers. I shook my head, feeling more ill than angry. You can keep believing in her if you want. I don't. I walked out of my childhood home without saying anything else. My father's furious voice echoed behind me. If you leave now, don't ever come back. I didn't stop. This time, I left them for good. As expected, Mia failed again a few months later. My parents didn't mention it to me, and Mia didn't either. I had tried to make them see the reality of their situation, but they ignored me. I knew exactly what would happen next. They would reach out to me. Just as I expected, my phone started ringing a few hours after I heard about Mia's business failing. My mother was the first to call. I didn't answer. Then another call came, and another, followed by dozens more. Messages flooded in. Leo, please answer. We need you. Don't leave us alone. I saw each message but chose not to respond. I understood precisely what they were asking for. I knew this would happen as soon as they took out a loan on their home. They weren't reaching out to apologize, they were looking for financial help. The next morning, as I stepped outside to head to work, I stopped short. My parents and Mia were standing in front of my door. They looked worse than ever. Mia had lost her usual confidence, her face appeared gaunt and worn. Gone were the fancy clothes and the proud demeanor. She looked like someone who had lost everything. My mother's eyes were red and puffy, as if she had been crying for hours. My father, once robust and proud, now looked much older, as if the stress had aged him prematurely. They had nothing left. My father cleared his throat and spoke in a hoarse, weak voice. Leo, we were wrong. I crossed my arms and leaned against the doorway, my expression cold. Now you get it. They didn't argue. There were no accusations of selfishness or jealousy because they needed me now. My mother's voice trembled as she spoke. Son, we're out of options. Please help us. I sighed and interrupted her. I don't have any money. They froze, but my father responded instantly, as if he had rehearsed this. You could sell your company or one of your homes. If we can cover what we owe and keep the house, we can start over. I shot him a brief look, then laughed, not because it was funny, but because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They genuinely thought I would sell the business I built to save them. These were the same people who had refused to lend me $65,000 when I wanted to pursue my dreams. Now they wanted me to sacrifice everything I had worked for. They had cut me out, said no, and now they expected me to lose everything for them. I had nothing more to give. I stood tall, walked forward, and opened the door wide. Leave my home. Nobody moved. Mia opened her mouth to speak, but I cut her off. I told you I'm not a fool. I had nothing more to say. A month later, the bank took over their house. They had to pack up and leave. They were now homeless. I wasn't surprised, I had seen it coming the day they signed that loan. At first, they stayed with acquaintances, but no one could accommodate them for long. Eventually, they ended up in small, cheap hotel rooms that were dark, damp, and overcrowded. When their money ran out, they found themselves in shelters, waiting in line for meals. These were the same parents who once had a lovely home and enough money to live comfortably. Now, they were part of the group that had lost everything. And Mia, who once called herself a businesswoman and drove a BMW, was suddenly broke. She wandered around looking for work, but no one wanted to hire someone with a history of failure. Even though I told myself I didn't care anymore, I watched them quietly from a distance. I didn't reach out, but I knew how they were doing. I tried to suppress my feelings, but I couldn't completely turn away. For 3 months, I let them experience what it meant to lose everything. I wanted them to feel the consequences of their choices. But deep down, the fact that they were still my parents made it hard to watch indefinitely. About a month ago, I made my decision. I would go visit them. They looked utterly defeated. My father, who once walked with pride, had his head down when I entered. My mother appeared exhausted, her eyes shadowed from sleepless nights, and her hair was grayer than I remembered. Mia sat off to the side, no longer brimming with confidence. She wasn't the same person who used to boast about her lofty goals and ambitious plans. No one spoke for a while. Finally, I broke the silence. I will rent a small place for you. It'll be enough to live near the city, but only for 1 year. My mother lifted her head, her expression revealing a glimmer of hope. But I wasn't finished. During that year, Mia has to find work. After those 12 months, you're on your own. I won't provide any more help. My father didn't respond. My mother didn't plead.